Greetings, my fellow figureheads. How you guys are doing? All well and good? Everything's okay? Well, let's get on with the reason why I'm shooting this video. Now, I know most of you will know from my previous videos, the X-Men collection that I had only comprised of these two figures. And you know you are in trouble when your collection of an X-Men, a cartoon, a beloved cartoon from my childhood, and the only people that you have to show for is Archangel and Apocalypse. Not bad, but could be improved. So I tried to track down as much as I can over the weekend, a couple of weeks or a couple of days, maybe, I don't know. Maybe, yeah, not weeks, definitely a couple of days. And I managed to snag a few bits and pieces, as you will see right about now. Which brings us neatly to the man himself, the man who puts the X in X-Men. Professor X, and what I find this was, not much of him. I bought it from a local Toys R Us. As you can see, the sticker peeled off. Now roughly this, as a price reference, goes for $45 if you were to buy from Big Bad Toy Store. But because I bought it locally from a local Toys R Us, I think if you take into account the currency exchange and all the shipping and whatnot, I paid roughly around the $56 mark. So not a cheap purchase, but it's Professor X. Now, if ever you want to start your Professor X, not Professor X, you want to start Professor X, come on, get your act together. Sorry, if you ever want to start your X-Men team, what better way than to start with the man himself? As you all know, Professor X is a highly gifted telepath and scientific genius who develops the Cerebro device to aid in the ability to control and manipulate psionic abilities. I think that's the thing, that's the story that's stated in that portion there. So I've spared you the reading. As usual, it comes in a very big box for Marvel Legends. As you can see here, a big window. This is kind of like the, shall we say, ride figure. Well, I don't know whether that's the correct term for that, but here you go. You have Professor X with his hovering wheelchair, a nice X-Men logo right in front, which I probably might use. You know, if I discard the box, I might cut this out and put it in sort of a reference to my display. That'll be a neat piece. Anyways, and then on the sides you have nice artwork as usual for the figure, and at the back you have, as usual, the picture. It indicates the, shall we say, the figure in all its glory, all the side whatever accessories and whatnot that comes with this particular figure. Some usual come from legalities, don't put in your mouth, different language and all that. Similarly down, which I suppose most people won't pay any attention, a nice X-Men logo on top, and there you go, that's the box. So let's take it all out, see what we have for Professor X, and get on with the show. Right, so as per all my other videos, I'll do the unboxing straight right in front of your eyes. So it is quite a big box, as I mentioned before, and I suppose it is warranted simply because he comes with his personal mobility thingy, or at least I hope that's the correct term to use it, because I can't really say it's his right. Anyways, so let's take this out of the box, and as you can see here, Professor X in all his glory. Let's see, that usually typically comes with a decent artwork. Ooh, that's nice. Now this is something I can actually play with. Now this is something I can actually put as a sort of a backdrop for my display. So what? I will consider that. It's nice artwork. True to the sort of Jim Lee animation style, animated series style design. So that's the sort of X-Men team that I was going for anyway. So yeah, fantastic. Let's put that aside, because I don't think you're watching this video to look at some design, backdrop and whatnot. Now, it's quite a big piece. Obviously, the bulk of it consists of this particular, shall we say, ride. Let's look at the man himself. Obviously Professor X comes with his sort of I don't know, the thing that he puts close to his eye, to have that psionic ability. Is that the term for it? Yeah, possibly. To manipulate people's thoughts and whatnot. So cool figure. I don't see much accessories in the way in terms of any other hands that's provided. So I guess this is the only two hands that you get. I'm not too sure. This kind of looks like a grippy, sort of spooky hands going ooh. Anyway, or maybe it's to hit the buttons that is attached to the computer that is this wheelchair, computerized wheelchair, and all that. So not much in the way, so we'll look at the quality control later. As for the other bits and pieces, you have the hover chair or hover wheelchair, I don't know, whatever you call it. It comes in two separate pieces, so I presume, well, it's pretty obvious that it requires some assembly of that. You have the, where is it, the blanket piece just to keep his legs warm. So that, you have the seat and the sort of the backrest, or is it the other way around? Oh yeah, so the seat and the backrest, because his wheelchair needs to be comfortable and whatnot. There is an effect that comes out of his I suppose cerebro, I don't know, you can see, oh there you go, you can see the cerebro helmet and some sort of effects of his psionic abilities, again, whatever psychic thingy going on. And then he has what do you call the effects of the sort of the hovering element to it, because obviously this particular wheelchair is in reference to the how he was portrayed in the animated series. So it's not really like a like a real wheelchair, but more like a futuristic hovering wheelchair. So it has that effect to show he's just above the ground and whatnot. And you have the additional head, as you can see here. I'm not so sure what this character's name is, but I will try to get the name. Not particularly one that I'll be interested in either building that. Of course, it's part of the builder figure, but probably not someone that I will build anyway. So it doesn't matter whether I know the guy or not. But I'll get the name for my next section of the video. Right, so here are all the stuff out of the packaging. You have the man himself, Professor X, in all his glory, with a nice sort of green suit and tie and all that. So right out of the back, I can tell you I don't necessarily see any particular areas of defect in terms of paint and whatnot. Fantastic sculpt, has that sort of raised eyebrow, that sort of The Rock look. And as I mentioned before, the hands only come with these two particular hands. One referring to sort of that the pose that he does where he's concentrating on something and he's sending out waves, I suppose. And then the other is sort of manipulating stuff, or perhaps it's hands to click on his computerized wheelchair, who knows. Then you have the wheelchair itself. That is a design that pays tribute to how the wheelchair appeared in the animated series, that fantastic show where it is all orangey and yellow and it hovers above the ground. So for that, you also get this effect where you actually assemble the wheelchair and then you put it on top of this to have the elevated positioning. The seat itself, or the wheelchair, sorry, comes with this seat that you attach to the place where Professor X sits. So again, nice sort of a cushiony design that is put to this particular design. Of course, all of this is made out of plastic, so it's not really a cushion or anything like that, but it's just the way it's been designed and sculpted and painted. It does look like an actual leather cushion. Similarly, you have the backrest also in that sort of same principle and in the same spirit. So fantastic. You have Cerebro, which is like the old school Cerebro. I think they pretty much use the same sort of design for the movie as well. I could be wrong. But anyway, and then that Cerebro actually comes with this effect, which with all the sort of waves from his whatever, psionic, is that the word for it, for his powers, spewing out. So fantastic. You can see just about a peg there that connects to the hole right at the back of the helmet, and voila, you have that fantastic look. Although, to be fair, I don't know whether this represents a sort of look of the sort of waves coming out or in, I don't know, from his what do you call, Cerebro. If anything, it kind of looks like some headgear for some Victoria's Secrets model. Don't you agree? With some feathers sticking out and whatnot. Anyway, this fact might work for some. Don't know about me. Let's leave it at that. And then you have a blanket, just a nice sort of wavy. I mean, like how a blanket is supposed to be, that keeps Professor X warm when he is positioned inside his wheelchair. And there's one thing that I'm not very familiar with. As I mentioned before, I had to look it up. This is apparently a Shadow King, so he is well, a figure. Presumably he's of interest for some people, not particularly one for me. Good hill sculpt, and I think it goes with a kingpin body and whatnot. So for some people this will be an interesting addition. I'm not sure this particular wave is part of a builder figure, because I can't seem to find any reference. If anything, it seems like a Professor X is a standalone character, and Hasbro just added this particular hit sculpt. So I could be wrong. Anyway, it is not of my interest for this particular character, so I'll just keep it aside, I suppose. So there you go. So let's assemble all this together and see what we get. Now, as I mentioned before the start of the video, or perhaps during the course of the video, that the wheelchair requires some form of assembly. Now, it's not rocket science or anything like that. There are nice little slots where things just seem to attach quite shall we say, comfortably and convincingly. Let's put them together right in front of your eyes, and let's see how it all comes and appears as it might. So if you just connect the two sort of half the sides together, you have that one piece of the wheelchair. I suppose you can fix the cushion thereafter. Of course, you can see the profile, so it's kind of going from down to up. So similarly, if you look at that angle there, that kind of gives you an indication of where to fix that in. I'm hoping my video captures all this, because I can't really see the video and fix that all together. Now the backrest, similarly you have this slot here. I don't know, you can see just about that slots right into that particular area, and it nicely fits in once you slot that in. Insert and push, and everything works well. There you go, fantastic. Yeah, the only other element to sort of fix is this sort of a blast effect, or like a thrust effect, I suppose, because he's hovering. He has to hover, and that allows him not only to give the impression that he's hovering, but also gives him, or puts him in a sort of an elevated position, which is kind of neat, and which is fantastic addition to the wheelchair in terms of the effects. Professor X itself, as I mentioned, I don't think it's polite of me to look into articulation for Professor X, if you know what I mean, but just for the interest of doing the usual rounds, let's see. Professor X needs to turn left, right, up and down, and he needs to be in a seating position. Okay, that's all I think presumably you would need in terms of articulation. And his hands need to move up and down all around. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbow. So his arms works well, his hands work good. Similarly, I suppose that's the same in the other arm and hands, so that works for me. Then all I have to do is put Professor X in a position where I could sit him quite comfortably. So let's do that. There you go. So he's seated, as you can see here. Nice comfortable chair, kind of very comfortable. And oh, there's an element of his computer. You can see just about, you know, some presumably some buttons and this mouse roller thingy. I forgot what the actual term for it, where he can control much of the things that he wants to control from his wheelchair. Oh, there you go, fantastic. It also slides out and you can see quite a lot of technology that goes into this wheelchair, so which is why it's a cool little shall we say ride, I suppose, for this man here. And let me just put him properly, because yeah, for this wheelchair you can pretty much do just about anything really. And then the blanket, I don't know whether there's any particular way you can actually put it, but I suppose this kind of seems obvious because it has the more of the portion, so I guess it will cover much of his legs. And I think you just put that in just like that. I don't think there is a position. I don't think there is any slots or anything like that where you can just put no, I think it just is there just to cover and you're pretty much covered, I suppose. What else? Oh yeah, of course, who can forget Cerebro with the effects thingy and all that. So the Cerebro is just like any other helmet. You just slot that in. There you go. Put it ever so nicely so that he can fit in. There you go. Does the wee wee wee. There you go. Fantastic. And it's up to you whether you want to put the sort of effects. I suppose you can. I'm complaining, I know, but I'm not a huge fan of this effect. But if it ever you need your figure to give the impression he's doing something, I suppose that works. I don't know. It still conjures up the image of this Victoria's Secret model with the feathery headgear. Anyways, it is what it is. Overall, quite impressive. Just works. Of course, sometimes you just have to push it also ever so nicely so that it's all flush and there's no like gaps or anything like that. There is some kind of sort of button mechanism here. Just a paint job. Nothing to, you know, press or do stuff with. Overall, fantastic. So let's put him in here through his shall we say just general feel. Let's play with it and see whether I'm actually impressed with this particular figure in all its glory. Now, after playing around with this figure for well, whatever time that I have, I must say he looks the part, so that's always a bonus for me, as you would know from all my previous videos. I like the figures that looks the part. He definitely has the right pose, the right head sculpt, sort of you know, his right thingy is spot on to the cartoon, as I would imagine. The headgear, you know, and the head sculpt for the Shadow King and all that, not interested. So all in all, I'm impressed with this particular figure. I think he is a good start to the X-Men collection that I'm aiming for. You know, there is the movie version with Patrick Stewart and all that, but I think this one is, it just does it for me, because yeah, the head sculpt fantastic, the color, the paint job, all well and good. The only thing I noticed is that this particular figure, when it sits, he can't really reach to the buttons at the sides of his shall we say wheelchair. So if I were to put, so let's take out Cerebro for the time being, and if I were to even sit him flush to the let's say the backrest, his hands, you know, it would require, yeah, it just doesn't sit and can click on the button. I suppose he can do the other side presumably, but that kind of defeats the purpose. So that's something that I would love to have him sort of fit around with the button and this sort of mousy thingy. But as it stands, he's not able to see. It's as further back as I can put it, and basically I think he can only press some buttons, not the whole lot. So, and then also his body is angled to the sides for him to touch the button. So as it stands, I think he will just have to rest his hand in the hand rest and show this sort of spooky, concentrating and sort of woo, that kind of pose, I suppose. Cerebro is a nice addition. I love that. So all in all, I'm impressed. I think I needed a Professor X figure to start my collection, to be the centerpiece, because obviously he's going to sit in the middle, and then surrounding him will be the the usual suspects, the Cyclops, the Jean Grey, what else? Who else? Rogue, Beast, and all that good people, and then we will start our collection from there. So fantastic. If you're a fan of X-Men, as I am, do get it. Because I don't think there is any other versions of him, or probably even if there is, it's more to the movie version with Patrick Stewart and all that. Never was a huge fan of that particular X-Men, so this is and will always be, I guess, the definitive Professor X look that I'm going for. So with that, I bid you farewell, my fellow figureheads, and as usual, if you like what you see, please feel free to click and like and subscribe, and you can also follow me through my Instagram account at figureheads_unite. With that, I bid you farewell, stay safe, and I shall see you when I see you. Adios.
Here we go, making really on, getting icy zone, flexing, I've been swerving, make it trendy.